Hello, Professor. This is my CRJ 450 data cleaning assignment. So here I have downloaded the data cleaning syntax, and I have already inserted my own file pathways right here, as you can see. So to begin to start to input my data, I'm going to highlight everything here. I'm going to go ahead and run that. Okay, so now I have my data exported into SPSS, and here it is in data view, and here it's going to be in variable view. So I'm going to switch it back to data view. I'm going to go ahead and save it. File, save as. I'm going to go ahead and label it in my documents page, which is going to be up here, documents. Okay, I'm going to label it raw data underscore calls for service 3, because I've had to do this a couple times. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that, minimize this output screen, and return to my syntax. So right here it says go ahead and save it, which I did. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to bring in the cleared by translations. So I'm going to just go ahead and highlight because I have already inputted my file pathway, and I'm going to run that. Okay, here we go. So I got data view and variable view just like last time. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it to variable view, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my raw data to variable view as well, because I found that when we go to clean the data up and make it one sheet, then it has to be in the same format. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So merge the files. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight and run. And hopefully, I'm sure it's going to take a while. Hopefully it doesn't take as long. So I'll go ahead and watch for that. And by doing this, it is my understanding that there should then be a column here in number 24, right here, that will have those translations. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it recording since it seems to be almost done. Okay. And it says that it's ready, but I'm not seeing that extra one. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my output and see if there was an error. Error, the files must match. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch back to variable view. It should be working. Let me try it one more time. Looks like it's trying. Oh, and there it goes. So here's the cleared right here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that before anything happens to it. So I'm going to save that, and I can go back into my syntax right here. Save your work before you break something. Did that. Okay, so now I'm going to start answering the first couple questions. So how many files are in the data set before we reduce cases to the selected years, and how many were in 2017? So to do that, I'm going to minimize my syntax. I like to look at it in data view, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. Then I'm going to go to the occurred year, move that over, click OK, and my table should be down here. So if I pull up the answers to my questions here, okay, and scroll up, how many calls for service were in the original data set? So there is, as you can see, a total of 1,016,855 calls in the original data set. And specifically in 2017, there were 126,718 calls for service. Okay, so that's the answer to those questions. I'm going to minimize that. I have that chart. I can minimize that. Go back to my syntax and see what's next. So now it wants me to look at just 2016, 17, and 18, and I'm going to do the clean data set copy so that I do not mess anything up. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And here is the clean one. Now it's switched back, so I'm going to switch it back to the clean. Here it is. Okay, now I'm going to go Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. Then I'm going to go down to the occurred year, move that over. Oh, I am just kidding. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to go here and go here. Okay. Oh no, I'm just kidding. That was correct. Okay, clean. Analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies, the occurred year, move that over, click OK. And it should have populated in my output. So here we can see 2016, 17, and 18 with a total of 386,331 cases. So here's 16, 17, and 18. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and go back to my syntax to see what else we have to do. So now it says click over the output to check over your results, which we just did. And now it just wants us to export it to Excel. But first, I'm going to discuss these last two questions when we look at the labels and how they are cleared. So I'm first going to go to the cleared by translations, so we can take a look at those. I'm gonna minimize those so we can see that. And here's this. So the labels. So we see 6 is an accident report. C means the call was canceled. 8 means a citation or an arrest. 4 means a civil situation. 5 means a departmental report. 2 means no further action. 9 means another agency was involved and handled it. And 7 is a street check. And W means warning. So those are the labels. So that answers what are the labels for how the calls are cleared. They're right here. Look at these. What should we include or should we exclude any more cases? Why or why not? Well, when looking at the labels for how the calls for service were cleared, the exclusion of some of these calls would be based on what we're trying to analyze. So, for example, if we were trying to examine the calls for service and how many civil calls were made, we wouldn't include maybe accident reports or things of that nature because accidents don't really have anything to do with a civil call. Same with street check reports. This is the same idea for citations. If we were analyzing how many citations were given, we wouldn't need to include the canceled calls because obviously if the call was canceled, it didn't end in a citation. But if we're looking at the citations versus warnings, then we would need to include both types of clearances. Therefore, it really just depends on what department questions are being asked and what the analysts are looking for when they analyze this data. So when we look at the different call types, instead of running a new analysis, I just kind of scrolled over to look and see what types of calls there are. So another officer initiated the call, an illegal parking call, a traffic accident, traffic hazard, trespassing, welfare checks, loud music, disrupting juveniles, stuff like that, assault calls. So when we look back at the Word document, Should we include all call types? Why or why not? Well, it really just depends. If you want to look at maybe a generalization as to what calls were made most frequently in a certain amount of time, then yes, you'd want to include all call types. So if the question was, what was the most frequently used call type in the year 2018? Well, then you would use all of the calls in 2018 and see which one was used most often. But when specific calls are being examined, other types of calls don't have a significance at that point. If you want to look at domestic violence or domestic disturbances calls, then you wouldn't really need data on traffic calls. So it would just really determine on what the department is trying to answer and what they're trying to get out of the analysis of the data. So I'm going to minimize that. And the last part is to export into Excel. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, Export into Excel, and I already have this saved on my desktop because I did this assignment earlier and it took forever. So I have it saved, raw data. So here it is exported into my Excel worksheet. Everything looks good. Everything imported correctly. And so there's that one. And here is my SPSS one. And that is all. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.